I hear Debbie is back with me. So, Debbie, I just tossed it out to our listeners. Real simple question. How do we keep Christ in Advent? Because we've got this, I think, a little bit of tension between wanting to be involved in some of the festivities and the sights and the sounds. There's nothing at all wrong with that. But again, keeping our focus on that aspect of preparation for Christmas. What do you think?
Well, first of all, this Advent this year that begins on Sunday is with Christmas coming earlier in the week. Advent's very short. Did you mention that? It's extremely short.
I did not, no.
Yeah, it's like the shortest ever.
About 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, which means we have to really kick it into high gear if we're going to get in that preparation mode for Christ's birth. And I'll tell you that really, makes us, step it up a bit and dive into Advent full force, and set some kind of a, not extreme, but, set some goals for ourselves to really deepen our faith. I love Advent. Absolutely. I love it so very much. I have to tell you, I'm one of those ones that I love Lent, don't get me wrong, but there's something about these spiritual attacks that happen at Lent, and it happens all the time in my life, and I will tell you that, so I don't necessarily can say that I look forward to the Lenten attacks, if you will, but Advent, it's a different feeling. I feel it's a great chance for folks to get very, very just rooted in their faith and to have that anticipation and that hope and that excitement of Christ's birth. So, but you're going to have to, like I said, you got to kick it into high gear because Advent's very short.
It really is. It starts this Sunday, and we certainly encourage all of you to make it a blessed time of preparation while you also take part in some of the very fun things, the family things, the office parties, the lights. In fact, that's a good question for some of you who are listening right now. Do you hold off? I know, Debbie, a lot of Catholic radio stations will actually wait. They'll play Advent music during Advent, and they won't play any official Christmas songs until Christmas. So what about you, dear listeners? Do you kind of crank up those Christmas tunes when Advent rolls around and you're doing some baking and putting up lights and stuff? I do sometimes. Because those songs are about Christ, and there's certainly nothing, at least outside of the liturgy and the church's official worship. We're free to do whatever we want. So I'd love to hear some people's takes on how involved you get in those types of Advent things, while at the same time maybe carving out a little bit of extra time for prayer, or do you make an Advent offering? Because Advent it's not the same as Lent, but there is a penitential aspect to it.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and we should talk about that, Deb, because any sort of preparation to meet, to encounter, to enter into a deeper relationship with Jesus really does call on us to prepare for that, and Advent's a perfect opportunity to do that.
It sure is, and the church year, the liturgical year, is so beautifully it's geared for us to experience so many things during our spiritual journey, and it's very important. See, the church, I always used to say this in catechetical ministry, Jerry. The church doesn't put things in or design things just because. There's always a purpose, a reason, a greater purpose for us to be more fully formed in the faith, to grow closer to God. It's the ultimate goal is absolutely amazing how the church has established so much for us to grow in our faith, especially really diving into the liturgical the calendar year. So that's why Advent, when you speak to people about Advent, they tend to kind of clam up because they really don't know what exactly Advent should be, could be, and that's in my opinion, that's a missed opportunity.
It is, yeah, and especially I want to hear from any parents because obviously Christmas for kids is just such a beautiful. I just remember so many Christmases from my own childhood, and understandably so for the children, it can get to be a focus more on, well, what do I want from Santa? What do I want to get for Christmas? What's on my toy list or my gift list and so forth? And, of course, they love the lights and the songs and all of that. So kind of steering young hearts and minds toward a focus on preparing for the birth of Jesus. I'd love to hear what any parents, what's your family traditions, or do you do anything differently? Or maybe it's just the same that you do year-round. Maybe you've got some real solid family disciplines in terms of spirituality that just carry over very nicely into the Advent season. So our number again is 1-800-585-9396.
May I just share something really quickly? I don't know if while I was getting connected, Jerry, if you shared that I was at the final day of Annunciation Radio's pledge drive. Did you share that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just want, and I'm back on Facebook. Hi, everyone who's on Facebook Live and YouTube. As you can see behind me is the hotel lobby. I'm in the hotel of the Hampton Inn in Maumee, Ohio, and I just want to thank them so very much. So I just, it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to raise the necessary funds for Catholic radio, but Annunciation Radio has a unique format where they have the parish priests and associate pastors come in every hour. So there's a different priest every hour, and we had one of the priests here from St. Joe's in Maumee, the pastor, Father Keith, and he was sharing about Advent, and he was talking exactly about what we're talking about on the show today, and it's really interesting how as he was speaking, phones started ringing because, folks were really getting into that understanding of the preparation phase of Advent. And I hope we can focus on that today with our listeners when they call in. So, how do you keep Christ in Advent? I mean, that's what we're asking today on Take Two. And I think it's going to be a great discussion, Jerry.
I agree, and we'll go ahead and hit the pause button here for right now and get back and invite your phone calls and get to your takes at 1-800-585-9396. We've got Rich Jesse back today. Tom Price filled in yesterday as producer. Jeff Burson on social media. Matt Gabensky is the first person you will talk to at 1-800-585-9396. You have a chance right now to inspire, to educate, to illuminate on how you approach Advent in your preparation for Christmas.
This is Bishop John Folda of the Diocese of Fargo.
This is Raymond Arroyo, host of The World Over.
This is Monsignor Charles Pope, Morning Glory Godly Counsel. Thanks for listening to EWTN Radio.
Jumpstart your faith. Now coming to a parish conference or retreat near you, world-renowned Catholic radio host Jerry Usher.
It's not enough to stop doing whatever it is that's keeping you from union with God. For most of us, there are serious issues that need to be addressed first in order to be able to embrace that life of virtue. All those things we're all called to, but which every one of us struggles to achieve.
Invite Jerry Usher today. Contact thirdmillenniummedia.com.
Have you heard about Church Pop? Church Pop features new online Christian content that's fun and inspiring every day. Find it on Snapchat, Instagram, and on the web at churchpop.com.
Christ is the Answer with Father John Riccardo.
John, chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." He says that often in the Gospels. "He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die." To which the Jews say, "Now we know you have a demon." And they say, "Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets who died?" And Jesus says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad." To which the Jews say, "You are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham?" And Jesus answers, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am."
We're so glad you joined us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is your show. This is where you drive the show with your takes. Okay, so it's so important that we have full participation, full phone lines lit up, because we wait for you. you are the teacher in this when we are discussing these topics, and I think it's wonderful. It empowers you to really share the faith. That's part of our baptismal call to go out there and make disciples of all nations, and I just love it. I love what the Take Two listeners can provide with their experience, their wisdom, their knowledge of the faith, their love of the faith. And we're talking today about what is your practice for Advent? Do you keep Christ in Advent? How do you teach about Advent to your family, your friends? Maybe you're not even sure what Advent is and you want to talk about it. We're here to learn together. 1-800-585-9396. You would say that was fair, Jerry, right? We're here to learn together.
Oh, yeah. Well, Debbie, as you always say, you take copious notes every day. And
I do.
You could probably write a book someday from all of the great,
I was thinking about that. That's it. I'm sorry. And I was, would that would make a good book, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That'd be interesting, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of good stuff. But yeah, just real quick etymology lesson. As many of you may know, Advent comes from a couple of Latin words, ad, meaning to or toward, and venire, to come. So it's to come toward. Jesus is going to come to us. And we want to make sure that we are ready to receive him properly. And we've got Paul in Braintree, Massachusetts, listening first on the Station of the Cross, and he got in first. So, Paul, thank you for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. You get to go first. Hi, Paul.
Well, it's a blessing to speak to both of you. And I'm home today for a personal day, and I'm actually kicking off the Advent/Christmas season with a bang. I'm putting my tree, all my decorations up. I'm getting my Advent wreath ready. And you'd also like to know that starting the day after Thanksgiving, I've got 2 wristbands. Actually, I'm wearing my love for Christmas and Advent on my wrist. Literally, one wristband reads, "Jesus is the reason for the season," and the other one, Debbie, I know this is near and dear to your heart because it's the motto for Christmas of the Knights of Columbus, of which I know your husband is a very loyal and honorable member. Keep Christ in Christmas.
You know? Love it. Yeah.
And I just also, on a personal note, tomorrow is a kind of a bittersweet day for me. I am involved in my parish volunteering at a Christmas bazaar. We're going to have raffles and a nice pancake breakfast. I've spoken to the priests and deacons about both of you and about many parishioners, and they're very familiar. I mean, the word is spreading about the Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Aww.
And but tomorrow is a bittersweet day, as I say, because it'll be 1 year that my mom passed away. So I asked both of you and the Take Two family to raise her up in prayer for the repose of her soul. Her name was Elizabeth, and I miss her. I mean, last year was a little tough getting through Christmas. This year a little bit easier, but still, the memories just are. And what's really drawn me closer to our Blessed Lady. I've always had a very deep devotion. My mom did too. But I've actually found myself getting closer and closer to our Blessed Mother more and more, and it's all because of my mom and her devotion, her love to the Blessed Mother. And my favorite devotion of our Blessed Mother, and I have the prayer I carry with me every day, everywhere I go, to them. She is, remember, among others, she is our Mother of perpetual help.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the swing of it. In fact, I'll go during Advent and Lent. I will go to confession every week, whereas the other times of the year, maybe like once every 3 weeks or a month, or whenever I really need to get there. If I have to go more frequent, so be it. But weekly confession between now and Christmas and during Lent, that's another one of my preparations. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I would really say, hey, appreciate prayers for my deceased mom, 1 year tomorrow, and I greatly appreciate it. God bless you both.
Well,
thank you.
Well, for sure, Paul, the prayers, and I love the fact that her name was Elizabeth, which, of course, we remember when Mary conceived Jesus, what was one of the first things that she did? She went to visit her kinswoman, Elizabeth, and so
that's right.
There's no coincidence there. But, Paul, you're a walking advertisement for the faith, a walking billboard by the things you mentioned, the wristbands, and, you're obviously, I can tell you're the type of person who's not afraid to engage in a conversation about this with coworkers, neighbors, people that you meet, and that's so important for us. And Debbie, I love the confession aspect too, because it's not Advent is not not on equal footing as Lent per se in terms of the penitential aspect of it, but it is there. Mm-hmm. And the more that we can cleanse our soul like Paul does on a very frequent basis during Advent, I think that's very admirable.
Well, absolutely. And Paul, first of all, I just want to let you know I'm so happy that you tapped into the the Take Two family and the fact that we believe in the power of prayer. So please know and rest assured that we will be with you in prayer for your mom, Elizabeth. And I think that's wonderful. What a great, absolute, wonderful son that you are to your mom, Elizabeth. So Take Two family, please remember Paul, Elizabeth, his entire family in your prayers. That would be great. The thing I wanted just to say, Paul, as you were talking about the things that you do to get ready for Christ's birth, I think the interesting thing about Advent for me, and I just had an aha moment, so bear with me on this one. And Jerry, I just wanted to let you know I'm completely off of the computer screen. For some reason, the beautiful hotel that I'm sitting in just knocked me off the computer screen. So just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
But Paul, I think Advent for me, and I wonder if you can relate to this, Advent for me, it when you do these things that really just remind you and inspire you and deepen your faith and deepen the love that you have for God, it opens you up. It gets you very open, very similar, I believe, to the similar, not equal at all, the openness that Mary had. And when you look at that, and we're talking about a birth, well, obviously Mary giving birth to Jesus, that openness, I think, is meant for us to share in. The openness to life, the openness to God, the openness to salvation, the openness to repent and to be the best that we can possibly be. So that I love Advent because it was an aha moment for me, Jerry. I don't know if I've never really felt it that way until just now.
What do you think, Paul?
Well, I can wholeheartedly concur, and I'll tell you that there are two things I'll say in closing, is that to me, for this year, what really increased my faith more and more, and Jerry, I mentioned on your program back during the summer about the vocation boom. Well, I attended the ordination of 8 new priests in the Archdiocese of Boston this past May, and I tell you one thing, I've told everybody, the 3 hours and 15 minutes that I was at that ordination was like the Holy Spirit had injected me with a shot of Novocaine. I was numb to the whole experience. It was amazing. I still haven't come down from it. It's been almost 7 months later. And the other thing about my mom is that when you unite yourself, not just with the Sacred Heart of Jesus, but with the Immaculate Heart of Mary, you really, I think, develop a true, absolute rancor and detest of sin, because no one hates sin more than our Blessed Mother. In fact, always remember this, is that, and St. Thomas Aquinas said this, that in his rampage of terror against mankind, that Satan's greatest fear is from our Blessed Mother Mary, whom he fears even more than God himself. And those are words to be comforted by. If we just totally unite ourselves with her powerful intercession, her Immaculate Heart, and the Sacred Heart of her Son, because she always will point the way to her Son. And this is where it all started, in that cave on the side of the hill in Bethlehem. And it's so, believe me, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, and just pondering the whole impact of what it means for us as Christians and Catholics especially.
Awesome, Paul. Thanks for everything that you shared, and I love the fact that I think it's probably every year that the Feast of the Immaculate Conception falls during Advent. I'd have to check on that just to be sure, but I think given the number of days, it would almost have to. Yeah, in fact, it would have to fall during Advent, and I think that's beautiful, inclusion in the Advent celebration of that wonderful feast of Mary being conceived immaculately in her mother's womb. Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul,
for joining us on the show. I wanted to mention too, Charlotte and Ann and the others. We're going to get to you, but Paul was in Braintree, Massachusetts, and Debbie, yesterday I got an email, and I want to share this with all of our listeners. I got an email from a company called Catholic Brain. Speaking of Braintree, it's CatholicBrain.com, and they're offering a free Advent program, and it's mainly for families. It looks like it's kind of, I did sign up for this and get in and create a membership. It's absolutely free, and it looks like it's very family-friendly, kind of kid-centered, if you will. And so I just encourage any parents, any families out there to check out this Catholic Brain free Advent program. It includes daily readings. I think there are videos. There are lessons that they provide, Saint of the Day. So it's really a great learning tool, it appears to me. I haven't looked at it too deeply yet, but like I said, I did sign up, and it looks like something that families could use during the Advent season. So check that out at CatholicBrain.com.
Well, how providential was that, Jerry? Did they know you were doing the show?
No.
See how God works. It's so God. It really is, and that's what I just love about how God reaches us in so many ways. If you want to get on the line. I just want to say that Paul freed up the phone line just for you. So if you're feeling that little nudge of the Spirit, you want to talk about Advent, maybe ask some questions, whatever works. No, I'm not going to give you the pledge number because I'm at the pledge drive. I'm going to give you the EWTN number. It's 1-800-585-9396. The older I get, Jerry, the numbers all get jumbled up.
Right, especially when you do a lot of pledge drives. But
yes.
You did give the right number. That's what Charlotte called in New Jersey, listening on our friends at Domestic Church Media. Hi, Charlotte. You are next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you? Hi, Charlotte.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in the car right now trying to get some shopping done. But I did want to share something. As I explained to the screener, I am married 59 years and I had 7 children, very close. And so what I did when they were toddlers was every Christmas Day after dinner, we would have a birthday cake and they would sing happy birthday to Jesus, and they just to remind them of what the day was. And we've carried that tradition on, and now I have 11 grandchildren and we still do that on Christmas Day.
Oh, isn't that special, Debbie? What a great lesson. Yeah, give them something that they love, like a piece of cake, and teach them about Jesus.
Right.
With the candles too.
And with the candles, and you do you sing? Do you sing too? They sing.
Oh, they sing. That's the best part of it.
Yeah. Well, some of my friends do that as well. That same tradition. And I tell you, it's interesting that you're saying this, Charlotte, because we have a group of friends that we all kind of raised our kids together, and now one of their children is, I believe, 26 years old, and she was asking, "Are we going to do the birthday cake for Jesus again this year?" So it really sticks with the children.
Well, it does, because now my grandchildren, of course, they come home from college, and my youngest one right now is 14, and they still do it because they say, "Oh, Nana wants this, so we all do it."
I love it. That is beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for taking the time. And now you can get back driving again and drive safely. You know how I love New Jersey if you listen to the show, because I was born and raised in West Caldwell, New Jersey. So I always say this when Jersey callers call in: have a slice of Jersey pizza for me, Charlotte. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, and Charlotte, congratulations. 59 years married,
yes.
7 kids, and I think she said 11 grandkids, if I was hearing that right. But what a beautiful testament to the sacrament of matrimony and to the value of family life. Charlotte, you and your husband have done a great job, and certainly your kids are obviously carrying on the values and the traditions and just the beautiful family lives that you instilled in them. So thank you for doing that. 1-800-585-9396. A lot of phone calls to get to. Today we're talking about keeping Christ in Advent, keeping focused while still, enjoying the things that unfold, the lights, the sights, the sounds, and all of that. What's your take on this?
Join EWTN Radio for a powerful 6-part radio drama on the life of Saint Cecilia.
She is of a plebeian family my parents have known for years. Perhaps you have met Junior Cecilius? His daughter Cecilia has a beautiful voice. She sings like no other I have ever heard. She is artistic and talented, content to remain at home and play instruments or compose music. But she is virtuous. It is off-putting.
Ode to St. Cecilia, Sunday morning, 10:30 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute.
Michelle and Ross were thrilled to find out they were expecting child number 3. But on her way to work, Michelle felt excruciating pain in her abdomen and saw the visible sign of a miscarriage. After a close examination, doctors said the baby was dead and administered pills commonly used for chemical abortion to expel the baby's body. During a follow-up visit, a pregnancy test showed positive. 10 days after that, ultrasound revealed a live baby in the womb. Doctors believed there were originally twins, but only one baby perished. Little Megan survived both a miscarriage and an abortion and is now 18 months old and in great health. The moral of this story is God wanted Megan born, so he hid her underneath the protection of his hand.
Follow us on Twitter at Life Issues USA and stay informed, more informed than you've ever been.
Catholic radio gives us an opportunity to become part of a larger family. It can be so lonely when we are struggling in our faith or just try to live our faith on our own. But Catholic radio connects us to that larger community of faith where we're able to get the support, the encouragement, and the grace that we need to not just struggle on, but to really celebrate all the blessings that God brings into our life through our Catholic faith.
Dr. Greg Popchak thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
We're talking about keeping Christ in Advent. And Advent is very short this year, very, very short. And so we've got to make sure that we enter into this beautiful season, this preparation season, pretty quickly and deeply. And that's why we're talking about it today, because Christmas falls on a Monday. And so that's what we were sharing. So make sure you notice that, please, on the calendar, because that's very important when you're trying to prepare and to pace yourself for Advent. It's a very short Advent, so we got to go fast. Did we talk about Advent wreaths yet, Jerry? I mean, I was.
Yeah, it's been mentioned, but not,
I'm
not
curious.
in depth.
Yeah, I'm curious if any of our listeners, any practice with that in your home with the Advent wreath. Maybe you make them every year? I know that kids love that. Share something from your heart, a family tradition or something that you do to really kind of imprint your home with the whole effects of Advent. Here's the number: 1-800-585-9396. That's the number to call.
Okay, we're going to go to Anne, who has held very patiently in Medford, Massachusetts, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Anne. You're next today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I have just a sweet story, kind of like Charlotte's, very short. But when my daughter was about 4 years old, we were trying to explain to her the difference between Santa and the true story of Bethlehem. And it was like, I felt uncomfortable telling her Santa didn't exist because he embodies elements like love and giving and jolliness, and everybody gets so happy when they see him. But he's not the real Christmas story. So what we just tried to explain both of them to her, and she came up with on her own, and I'm still so proud of her, even though she was 4. She said, "Oh, I get it, Mommy. Santa is like Christmas's mascot." And it's like, if you think about it, I'm from New England, so you're not thinking that New England Patriot running around the field is the football game. The football game is the real thing that people are there to celebrate. But still, he gets people to care about Christmas, and it gets everybody happy, and that way, we're reminded of the gifts that were brought to our Lord Jesus by the wise men, and I just don't like introducing this element of hatred or disdain for something that some people appreciate, but for our family, that's how we distinguish it.
Well, that's fantastic, and I think a great way to go about that, quite frankly. I love what your child said. Oh, so Santa is the mascot for Christmas. Well, Santa Claus really derives, for the most part, if not completely, from St. Nicholas, who was a very, very generous saint. He was a Greek Christian bishop of, I think it's pronounced Myra. And he was in about the 4th century, and his parents died when he was very young, so he inherited, I think, a pretty sizable fortune, and that put him in a position to be able to be very, very generous throughout the remainder of his life. And the church celebrates his feast day on, what is it, Debbie? December 6th, I think?
I don't know, Jerry. I'm trying to reboot my computer screen, so please forgive me. Go ahead.
Well, that's all I wanted to share. I'm so grateful for the program, and I've been listening more and more. And I wish you all such a very Merry Adventtide and Christmas Day. And thank you for letting me share this opportunity.
Oh, you
You're
are
very welcome, Ann.
You are precious. You're precious, Anne. Thank you so much. Wow,
yeah,
I just love
it is December 6th.
December
yeah,
6th.
It's typically when the Feast of St. Nicholas is celebrated.
Okay.
Yeah, but I love, Debbie, the balance that Anne had with her family. This question always comes up every year. What do we tell our kids about Santa Claus? And I just remember, when we were growing up, we actually didn't have a lot of faith formation and influence. It was always there. But, Santa Claus was, we didn't, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I was, shocked or disillusioned or anything when I found out that, he didn't come down the chimney on Christmas Eve and all of that stuff. But
he doesn't? I always leave out a plate of cookies.
Do you? And
I do.
Are they gone? Are they gone the next day?
They are. Now I don't know how they go. It disappear. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
But I get it. I totally get it. Jerry, can I just mention something real quickly? Have I told you lately that I'm over 50 years old yet? Have I told you that?
Not lately.
Lately?
You have
okay.
Recently, but not lately.
Well, I've noticed that I am not good at the art of multitasking anymore. I think I am very much a settled human being now because I can't do two things at once anymore. Just wanted to state that. Do you feel sorry for me yet?
Almost.
But this is a great discussion. It's given me a lot of great ideas again, and it's kind of just making me really excited about entering into Advent this Sunday. So let's hear what Mary has to say in Melbourne, Florida, listening on Divine Mercy Radio. Hi, Mary. Welcome to Take Two. Hi, Mary.
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon. Three things real quick. One of the things the first Sunday Advent growing up, I'm one of 11 children, by the way. I'm in the middle. It was called Stir Up Sunday, and we made Christ's birthday cake together as a family. And all the ingredients of the cake were available at the time of Christ. So it had dates and figs, and it had raisins and nuts and orange juice and molasses and stuff like that. And then it's a very thick batter. And that evening before we had our family prayers, which we had every night, everybody would take turns stirring the batter while my dad recited the prayers, Stir Up Sunday.
Wow.
And then we had our family prayers. And, of course, starting with Advent, that night we had the Advent wreath. And then at the end of prayers, we would line up and tell our dad a good deed we did for the day. And then he would give us a piece of straw, which we would put in the manger. There was just the manger by itself. And we would and then every night at family prayers, we would line up again during Advent, and he would give us a piece of straw for every good deed we did. So the whole idea was that on Christmas morning, Christ would be born on a bed of good deeds. So that was one thing. The other thing is we did celebrate the Feast of St. Nicholas every year. So we never put out our stockings on Christmas Eve. We put our stockings out on December 5th, the night of December 5th. And then St. Nicholas came during the night and filled it with fruits and nuts and candy, and we'd have a gift underneath the tree. Underneath the stocking. And everything in the stocking we kept, but the gift that was given to us, we gave away. So it was a teaching moment for us, even at the age of 4, 5, 6, 8. Mm-hmm. We knew after we unwrapped the gift, we usually went, like maybe the next week sometime, to the local hospital, and we gave our gift to, like, the head nurse to give to a child on Christmas that either didn't have anything or to help them feel better. But it was a way of, as children, learning to share and to give. And let's see what else was. And then, of course, on Christmas Day, before we could go out to open up presents, my mother would bring out Christ's birthday cake, and we'd sing Happy Birthday to Jesus before we went out to open up our presents. So it was very... and our Christmas tree came to our house Christmas Eve. My father would go out on Christmas Eve and get it. It didn't get up. It was not put up. But when we woke up on Christmas Day, I don't know how my parents ever did it, but the whole place was all decorated, and it was just unbelievable Christmas morning. But Christmas season started for us on Christmas Day. it didn't end on
Right.
Christmas Day.
Right. Yeah.
Mary, talk about writing a book. Jerry had mentioned earlier at the show that all of our listeners that call in, we could write a book because we take notes. But you could write a book on your family traditions that you had, because it's rich in symbolism. It's very well thought out. Has a catechesis to it for all of the 11 children. You said you're one of 11.
Mm-hmm.
Look how you remember it. Many years later, depending on your age. I'll tell you what, Mary, that's awesome. Your parents did a phenomenal job, but look at the time and effort they had to put into it. But it had such an incredible impact on you, and that's the kind of imprint I was talking about. If we can do those rich, and I mean rich in symbolism and meaning and understanding and effort and time, rich catechetical events and moments in our home, just think how much more enriched our children and grandchildren will be. And look how it's impacted you for generations, I presume. So that is awesome.
Yes.
I'm impressed,
Yes,
very impressed.
I'm 64, so I married. I had 3 children, and I have 4 grandchildren. And on all of the 11, pretty much all 11 of us, we have taken those traditions to our own family, and now it's a tradition within my family. So it's, from one generation to the other, now it has impacted at least 3 generations of people. And we really, Christ is Christmas. It's not just about that jolly old us. And St. Nick, I mean, you really, what that gentleman that just talked a little bit ago, I mean, we were taught about St. Nicholas and about how wonderful he was and how that is the spirit of Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Mary, you made a comment that I just want to touch on briefly. You said, I don't know how parents do it. And I love the story about how you said the tree arrived on Christmas Eve. You all went to bed. The tree was not up. It was not decorated. And almost magically, you get up on Christmas morning. It was probably the most beautiful sight to wake up to. And, parents are that way. You obviously had very generous parents. And I love the activities and the things that they had you do, like you said, building the bed of good deeds for Jesus. And you get a gift, but then it's a gift for you to give away to somebody else. This whole idea of generosity, it just sounds like your family was just soaked in a spirit of generosity as you were growing up.
Yes, it was. I feel very blessed to be part of the 11 children and to have had such wonderful parents. They're both gone now, but they have really... there's 110 of us now, from all my brothers and sisters, and they're being married and their children. There's over 110 of us, and their traditions are handed down, and we all embraced them.
Wow, that's
all of us.
That's like the King family. Remember that, Mary, on TV, the King family? It was just this gigantic extended family. That's like your family. Can you impart to us your mom and dad's first name? Because I personally want to just say a prayer and say thank you to them for being great parents. Thank you to God, actually, for them.
Yes, my father's name was Loyal, and my mother's name is Margaret.
Loyal Margaret. I love it. Well, you're blessed, Mary. Absolutely blessed with a great big family. I think it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Took a ton of notes, so we're going to be probably doing a lot of your traditions in our home as well.
One of the things on the Feast of St. Nicholas, December 6th, in the evening, we always invited another family to our home to share, and we had, of course, the parents had wine, but the kids had all grape juice, and we had cookies and stuff like that. And we just brought another family into our home to help share and celebrate the Feast of St. Nicholas also. That's the other thing I forgot to tell you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Mary, thank you. Thank you so much for all that you have imparted to us, and you've probably given a lot of listeners some great ideas. Mm-hmm. All that they have to do, Debbie, to implement those ideas is gather the family and say, leave your cell phone on that table over there.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary. 1-800-585-9396. Michael McCall screening calls today, by the way. Matt is off today. I mentioned Matt earlier, but Just want to also quickly mention, before we get to Kathy and Diana here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, that you have an opportunity, friends. This might blow you away. Maybe you don't realize this. A lot of people who are starting Catholic radio stations don't necessarily come out of a media background, if you will. Maybe they didn't get a journalism or communications degree or whatever, but it's just a desire to evangelize. And that's really what's happened. God has used a lot of interesting and diverse people to start Catholic radio stations around the country. In fact, right in the area where I live, there's an LPFM, low power FM, that's been on for probably about a year or so, and it's a couple in my parish. They worked for a number of years to try to get that station on the air. Now we have Catholic radio where I live, and they're just a retired couple who just had a desire to get Catholic radio started. So it's not without its challenges, it's not without its sacrifices, but it certainly is worth it. So if you feel that the Lord might be, as Debbie says, tugging at your heart or nudging you, and you're going, wow, we don't have a station, an AM or FM station in our area, but I'd certainly love to see that happen. It doesn't hurt. You lose nothing by simply making a call to Jack Williams at EWTN at 205-795-5756, and Jack will certainly he'll give you the lowdown on that, and it's something you can decide if you'd be interested in doing. So there you go.
And pray about it. Pray about it. Absolutely. Is that what you were asking me earlier? Is it December 6th is a Feast of St. Nicholas?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wasn't listening to you because I was busy. So I just want to let you know, offhand, you can't ask me questions like that unless I'm paying attention.
Okay.
I'm teasing you. I'm in one of those pledge drive moods. What can I say, Jerry? It's the final day, final hours. So good luck to all of us on Take Two to have to put up with me for the rest of this hour. Okay, Kathy in Ottawa, Canada, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. It's so great to talk to you guys about Advent. And I wanted to say I'm a convert now for 21 years, going on 22, and every Advent is so special to me because I didn't grow up with liturgical seasons, and the preparation time is so beautiful. And I guess I think of the line from, I think it's O Little Town of Bethlehem, when it says, the world lay in darkness, sleeping, waiting for the Savior. And I always feel the hush and the calm in these 4 weeks, thinking about what it must have been like for creation to know that Jesus was coming. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Kathy, first of all, I just want to say, of course, coming into to the family, welcome home. Welcome home. That's awesome. And I love... you can hear it as you're speaking. I love the fact that you just, it sounds like you just immerse yourself in the feeling of, or the atmosphere of Advent. I hope I'm not putting too many thoughts and feelings, and I'm speaking for you, but I just could sense that as you're talking, that you really appreciate this preparation time, and you allow it just to kind of unfold. And I love that. And I think so many of us, in the crazy busy world that we live in, we tend to rush everything. Now, granted, like I said earlier, this Advent is probably the shortest Advent ever, and so it's going to be a rush Advent. But you know what? If we can just settle ourselves, take that time, and immerse ourselves in the feeling, the preparation of receiving Christ to this world. I mean, it's huge. Even when you take a moment to meditate or to contemplate that, it starts to slightly change you just from the silence of your heart. I don't know if I'm making sense there, Jerry and Kathy, but I'll tell you, as you were speaking, Kathy, I was thinking to myself, Advent and the preparation of it may be much simpler than we think. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, I agree with that. And before I add a couple of things, Kathy, what do you think about what Debbie was sharing there?
That's exactly how I feel, because I always feel like after Christ the King, we come off, like that is the triumphant end of the Hallelujah chorus moment,
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're back at the beginning again, of the back at the beginning of creation. If we try to do Jesse Tree readings at our house, and back to what was it like God starting by creating the world, all to lead up to the incarnation of His Son.
Kathy, I was curious.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and you mentioned how much you appreciate the church overall, your faith, especially seasons like Advent because you're a convert. Before you came into the Catholic Church, did you have a sense of this whole notion of Advent? I mean, we see the world kind of turning the pre-Christmas time into what it has turned it into, and Christmas and all of that. Were you consciously aware that there was this season of preparation that certain people in the world tried?
No, not at all. I mean, I had heard of Lent and Ash Wednesday, but I wanted to hold on to the joy of Christmas. I guess there was a part of me that it was intuitive and kind of knew, but it felt bad. Like I knew lots of families, good Christian families, who had the tree up for most of December, and December 26th, it was like, shake the rugs out and get this tree out of here. Christmas is over. And that it seems so sad to me now because I try to keep my tree up as close to February 2nd as I can, mainly because I don't want to clean the house after. It's such a hard job to get a tree out, but it's still, why can't it just stay up and light up all of January as well, even after the 12 days proper?
Wow, Kathy, you've just, I think you've really inspired all of us to really just, take a second look. Well, hey, that's what Take Two's all about. We kind of we look at things again, and maybe we try to, reframe it, reshape it, reform it. And what you're saying, Kathy, I think it's a wonderful time for us to take, especially the next day, actually, because Advent starts on Sunday, and take that time, take 24 hours and try to think, how can I really experience the beauty of this wonderful time of Advent and the Christmas season? You're right, Kathy. We need to spend more time, I think, contemplating on it. I love your take. I think it was a home run. So thank you so very, very much. By the way, I love Ottawa, Canada. Thank you so much.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful area. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and a little bit of a belated welcome home to the Catholic Church. And
yes,
it sounds like the way you and yours prepare for Christmas through Advent, it makes Christmas all that more meaningful. And so that's really special. We don't want Christmas Day to come and go like a blur and just say, wow, I kind of missed it, or I missed really entering into the the solemnity, the sublimity of the great reality that we celebrate, and that is the coming of God among us as a man, as a little baby. So thanks again, Kathy. Diana in Ely, Minnesota, listening to EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Diana. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi. I'm calling about, you had asked about what you do with the Advent wreath, if there's any traditions. And like your last caller, when she talked about how right after Thanksgiving, Christmas trees are going up, and then on December 26th, everything's going down, and that, as a Catholic, always frustrated me. And how could I evangelize to my neighbors and my family? So a couple of years ago, I put a Christmas tree up on the first Sunday of Advent. I took an artificial tree, and I decorated it with purple. And I put purple bulbs and purple ribbons and purple garland and purple lights. And then I put the Advent wreath. I stuck it on top and got the battery-operated Advent candles. So I have an Advent tree. And then on the third Sunday of Advent, I get the pink out and I add the pink to it. And it was kind of interesting the first year I put it up. Anybody that entered our house, because I'm from Minnesota, our football team is the Minnesota Vikings, and they wear purple. So everybody thought I was honoring the Minnesota Vikings. And it was funny because I would say no, and I would explain what the tree was and why I did that. And then on Christmas Eve, I pull the tree down, and we go get a fresh tree, and we decorate it, and we turn on our Christmas music, and we celebrate until at least the baptism of the Lord before we take our real tree down. So like your last caller, it was the secular world rushing Christmas and then wanting it over when it finally arrived. So that tradition now has been passed on to my daughters. They do it. One of my sons, we decorate his tree if we get a chance to get to his home. and we do the same for that. And then this year I have a deck on the back, so I put purple lights, and I got some purple pots and some more artificial lighting, and I now have purple on my back deck and plan to change that into white when Christmas comes.
Diana,
anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Oh, thank you for sharing it. First of all, I just have to say, if you listen to the show regularly, I can't even talk today. I've heard a lot of stories, family stories, in catechetical ministry, because I was in catechetical ministry for 25 years. I have never heard, you're the first time, so I love this. I've never heard of an Advent wreath tree. I love it. Absolutely love it. And you're doing it with the colors, and it just so that it has meaning, and people will ask questions, and then you can have those catechetical moments. Diana, wow. I mean, now I have to say you and Kathy hit a home run. Actually, all of our callers today, Mary and Ann and Charlotte and Paul, you guys are just incredible. What do you think, Diana? Have you ever, what do you think?
Yeah. I always was sad before, and even keeping Christmas music going after Christmas, people come into my house and they think I'm crazy. And I look at them so strangely, and it's like, but it's Christmas now. This is when we celebrate, Mm-hmm. We shouldn't be tucking everything away. So I think the greatest joy I get out of it is being able to talk about my faith, because people question then. And sometimes it's hard to evangelize if unless somebody asks you something.
Diana, you are doing a lot of evangelization, actually. And you're going to a lot of effort, too. That's what I really admire, because amidst all of the other things that go on during Advent, the preparation, the shopping, the baking, and all of this stuff, all of that is very, very legitimate, but you actually go to really great lengths to make sure that those around you, your neighbors and so forth, know what you are celebrating. And obviously this must be what is in your heart as well. So thank you so much, Diana. I appreciate that. Debbie, have a great finish to the pledge drive. We'll be back on Monday.
Thank you so much. Until then, folks, have a beautiful and blessed day. Happy Advent.